Performance. I'm Hannah and I'm joined today by Matt.
Hey guys.
And we are going to do a review of
Britain's Strongest Man under 80s.
Under 80 Kilos, which happened the weekend just gone on Saturday up north, hosted by Kaos. So, pretty good day for you?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. Some good results on some events, some not so favourable results on others, but I'd say pretty happy in the end.
So we're going to go through event by event, and we're just going to think about, we're going to talk about how Matt got on, and then obviously just generally who won the events and what the numbers were that came out. So you started off with a max log.
Max log, indeed.
So the starting weight for the max log was 107 kilos, and then there were 10 kilogram increases to a certain point. And then I think it was up, 5 or 6 kilos that went on again.
Yeah,
so,
closer it got to the world record, they sort of dropped it down.
How did you do, Matt?
Pretty good. I come third overall. 117. I don't know if it was 117.5.
It was about 117 kilos.
Yeah, I think it was pretty on the head. But yeah, no, it's an event I sort of struggled with a little bit during prep. Like I think years gone by, it's been a really good event for me. I've been up there a lot on the log. Last year or so, I'd say 6 months maybe, I've just sort of struggled getting something right on it. So I struggled to really get over like 110, 112.
Yeah, because the week before in training when you were having a stroke here,
yeah,
you couldn't even hit 110.
Yeah, I failed 110 like 4 times. I was like, I'm useless, I'm quitting Strongman. But I think it was the week before, maybe a couple of days before, I think maybe the Monday before, the Saturday, so last week, I hit 120. A little bit of a ropey 120, but it was like enough to give me a bit of confidence that I could like at least attack that 117, potentially get it on the day.
So you came joint third, and actually only 2 athletes lifted more than you, didn't they? And they were Dan and Dean.
Dan and Dean, yeah.
And they both went on to hit 135 kilos. So they hit the 127, then they hit the 135, and they had an attempt at 142, we think it was.
142, 143. Yeah, I think it was like the next little lead up towards the world record, but I don't think either of them quite had it there on the day. Like, I know personally, like I was a bit off the pace for this one. I know those guys have probably had a bit of a longer prep, but like when you're thinking about the whole competition as a whole, like if it was just a max log event, like on its own, maybe they would have like been able to push it a bit harder or whatever. But I think once you feel it and you know it's might not be there.
You know whether it's there or not.
You think, like, I've got 5 more events.
Exactly, that's the whole thing. That was the first event, 5 more events to follow.
So yeah, with like a standalone run at it, I'm pretty convinced both of them could maybe like push the world record. I think Dan was suffering with a bit of hip issues, and I think Dean was more just concerned with keeping up with Dan, like just staying with Dan rather than like, right, I'm going to get the world record. But I don't want to speak for Dean, so but that's what it seemed like on the day. But no, it's very good. Like joint third with that. I honestly didn't think 117 was going to be that good of points. I think a lot of people just struggled with that.
Because I think there were big jumps. If there had been something in between, maybe they'd gone to like a 122. I think that may have split the field.
Yeah,
because we had, let's have a look. We had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 athletes coming in at joint third.
Yeah.
And then obviously the 2, Dean and Dan hitting that higher number coming in at joint first.
Yeah, those 10 kilo jumps were pretty brutal, and I think on the day as well, like I personally haven't ever done a log event where you're looking up at like big bright LED lights.
So if you haven't seen the
live stream,
the live stream, you can still buy it on ADL Pro. But they had the 2 logs side by side, and then so I'm spectating. So if you were on one side looking up, you'd have been absolutely fine. But on the other side, you've been looking straight into the strip lights.
I picked up like the empty log in a warm up and like did the clean, looked straight up at and just saw like blinding lights, and like for a good minute or so after, I was like just seeing lights everywhere. So yeah, it was definitely a conscious effort to try and not look at the light. And you don't want to make excuses. I was pretty shit on the log this year. So
we'll see.
Yeah, I'll just take it. But yeah, third place on like for me a very bad performance. Like I've hit a triple on 120 before, so I know when they announced the events, I said to you, I think 127. It's going to be the one, but yeah.
Next time.
Maybe not so much, but yeah, next time, hopefully.
So event number 2 was the deadlift for reps. So this is as many deadlifts as you could do in 60 seconds on an axle bar, wasn't it?
Yep,
on an axle bar as well. Thick axle bar, and the weight was 255 kilos.
Yep.
just quickly, what's your PB?
So at the time they announced it, it was 255 on a normal deadlift bar, without a suit. But yeah, when they announced it, this was the one event where I was like, I'm not too sure how we're going to do on this. We might get 1 rep if we're lucky.
How did you, Matt?
Buzzing, mate. Got 3 reps in the end.
3 reps.
Yeah, big credit goes to Josh Lancaster on that one. I think if anybody's seen his deadlift from the Sunday, the Chaos Classic, I think you'll see some similarities between me and him. But yeah, he really like helped me out, like practicing
and that's
the hitch.
just in exactly how you complete the deadlift,
like
right?
between Ireland and here, like the last like 4 to 6 weeks, we've really been nailing like anything over like 200 kilos, like practicing that pause at the knee, like deliberately pausing at the knee and then shooting up out of it. And yeah, it was the biggest difference. It was the big difference between maybe struggling for 1 rep and actually managing to get 3 reps and holding on to some pretty decent points.
So there were some pretty epic performances with the deadlift. So we had joint first was Finley and Tim, who both got 9 reps.
Yep. Bonkers, like
crazy.
Bonkers. Finley, like I don't know where I personally haven't like met or seen Finley anywhere.
No, and I have to say he's only young, so he's 22.
Watching him on the log, it was absolutely. He's like a bundle of energy. He's like a little Tasmanian devil or something. He's just like he's so explosive, so like. I'd say like raw strength, like he's just like a bull in a china shop.
Yeah.
Like watching his log, I wasn't sure how he was going to get on with like some of the other events, but like
Deadlifts.
he killed the deadlift.
So apparently, I was actually sitting, but just in front of his grandma, so just having a little chat, and she was saying that I think he's done quite a bit of powerlifting. So I think that's where the static strength is going to come
Makes
from.
sense,
So
yeah, makes
really
sense.
good deadlifter.
He was a strong presser on the log. Once he got it on like the right line, he was real strong on the log. But like, yeah, I think. Maybe just a bit more practice and stuff on the
and at 22, he's going to be one to watch for the next few years.
A problem.
So, event number 3, we'll move on to. Event number 3 was the sandbag Husafel carry, 135 kilos for max distance in 90 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is heavy, really heavy. And the sandbag, it has like a squishy middle as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's quite hard
for reference as well, England's in the qualifier for this, we were... Like the top weight was 140 kilo sandbag for loading.
Yeah.
So to then have to do like a max distance with it, it was
pretty
fucking heavy. Yeah. Excuse my French, but yeah.
So Andrew Keys has a bit of form, or has done in the past, for these types of kind of carrying endurance-based events, and he actually had to go first, which meant he had to go on his little lonesome. So just one man going backwards and forwards. And he did 104 metres, which was phenomenal. He was the only athlete, I think, who lasted the full 90 seconds as well. Yeah. So he was, I mean, that was pretty special.
Well. To be fair, from an athlete's perspective as well, like going out first is an absolute nightmare. Like on an event like that, like doing well on the deadlift and the other bits like steadied me well for that, because I knew kind of like 60 odd metres would be good points, but like going out first on that, on such a heavy thing as well, like... Tip my hat to Andy. I think I may have doubted him a little bit when we did the preview for this one, but yeah, tip my hat to you, Andy, mate. That was absolutely nuts, especially not knowing what anybody else was going to be able to do on that as well. So
so he did 104.
Mad.
Second place 82. Third place 78. So that's quite a big. That's like 20 metres in there between him and second and third. And then you were.
I think I was
64 metres, we reckon?
I think I was like 5th or 6th maybe. A few of the
mid-table,
a few of the shorter guys really struggled with the bag because it was absolutely ginormous.
So we were, obviously from a spectator point of view, we found that if you could link your hands, you had the people who could get their hands around it seemed to have a much better chance of kind of going for longer, and also getting the bag higher made a difference.
As I said to you after the event as well, I think, because I know Andy, I spoke about him a second ago, but I know Andy struggled with, I don't want to say struggled, but didn't get on as well with the metal Husafel where he couldn't lock his hands.
Yes.
And then when we saw him lock his hands on the what's it, we thought, oh, here we go.
Also, one thing we noticed as well was every time you tried to reset the sandbag, it didn't reset. You try and hoik it up, go a bit higher. No. Halfway through, a bit more.
I think like at the start,
didn't want to move.
When you first pick it up, you can move it because you're a bit fresh. But I think like once you're like 50 metres in and you're drained a bit, you think, I'm going to move it.
It just didn't.
It just doesn't go anywhere. It's so disheartening. And then like all you want to do is move it a bit higher, and you just can't. So that event, I don't know about anybody else, but that event like took my legs. I had no legs for like the next 3 events after that. That absolutely buried me. think if you're watching the live feed, I literally dropped it and then like
Half down the
fell to
floor.
my death like off the course. Yeah, that took a long time to recover from. That did, yeah.
That was good because that was like the halfway point. So this is the halfway point after the Husafell, and we had Tim and then Joe and then Dean leading the top three, all quite close together on 38, 37 and 35 points. And then in fourth and fifth, we had, I'm actually going to say joint fourth and sixth. We then had Kyle and Tommy on 27.5 and Matt at 26.5.
Hey.
So that was pretty good going at that stage of the competition. You were right up there.
First two events, a bit of a backwards comp for me this one. Like usually I do mediocre on the first three, or like first event or two, and
pull
then
through.
Yeah, then finish strong. But then we went the other way with this one. But yeah, we'll talk about that more in a minute.
So Farmers was the next. So we had a little half-time intermission, had the world record log attempt, which didn't go to plan, did it?
Yeah, unfortunately for Tom, he didn't quite get it. I think he announced he retiring from competing after that. Yeah, I saw a post he put up that it was just, I think it was just getting a bit too much, taking up his time and whatever. But yeah.
So event number 4 was Farmers. So this was heavy. It was 125 kilos per hand, and it was it 10 there and 10 back?
10 by 10 by 10, so 30 metres.
30 metres, 10 by 10 by 10.
Yeah. Farmers. Hit and miss
relationship with Farmers.
Like we spoke about it in the other video, so I won't bang on about it too much. But yeah, had a few like fluff ups on Farmers recently. UKNS did really, really well, like really close with Kyle. I think it was like maybe half a second in it on Farmers on that one. I knew personally, like I've had a lot of tendonitis in my arm at the moment. My grip wasn't going to be quite there. 125 even on a good day is very close to like, I think I've done 135 for like 10 metres as a max. So I knew this was going to have to be a bit of a technical one, like go a bit steady, watch my pickups, watch my grip, like conserve the grip a little bit.
Because we were quite surprised that when you went, you didn't go like hell for leather. You were a little bit more controlled.
Over 10 metres, 100%, like 100%. I'll stick with a lot of people over 10 metres on Farmers.
So where did you drop after what, about 23 metres?
I did the first run, I did 10. I think I dropped it at about 17 metres. 16, but picked it up, finished that one fine. And then after that, it was just a struggle for metres. I think I got 3-4 metres into the third run.
So I think you were about 20.
To be honest as well, like my right hand was going, I could feel it was slipping off a lot. And also just the amount of pickups I had to do, like on a Farmers event like that, being quick conserves so much energy. Yeah. Like just having a nice, obviously everyone's got to pick it up.
Not having to pick it up again and again and
again. Everyone's got to pick it up 3 times, but I think in total I picked it up like 10 times over that minute and a half or that minute. And like I was just drained on the end of it. Like I walked off, I was just dizzy rather than not being able to pick it up so much. I was just dizzy.
So this event was dominated by the previous under 80 strongest man, Tommy Chivers.
Yeah, we said in the preview, didn't we?
Absolutely dominated it. There was, I mean, Kyle came second and he was pretty fast. But seriously, he did it in just under 16 seconds, 15 point something seconds apparently.
Yeah, that's mad.
I don't know that for sure. I don't know exactly what his time was.
I don't think I could do that.
Watching him, it was just like boom, 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 done.
I don't think I could do that type of speed if it was 10 kilos lighter.
No.
Like he was mad, but big shout out to Kyle actually. Massively improved. We missed him on the deadlift, but his deadlift, he went from doing like 5 reps, maybe 6 with the 220 axle 2 months ago.
Yeah.
To then doing 7 with 255, so 35 kilos heavier and like 2 or 3 more reps.
Yeah.
Bonkers. And then his Farmers as well,
really
15 kilos heavier than UKNS last time out, and then he's done, I think he said after the run he did it 2 seconds slower.
Yeah.
And he made a little mistake on the first or second run where he dropped it. His second pickup was a bit like...
A bit staggered.
Yeah, which you could see put him off. He ended up like dropping it, but like even with the drop, to be 2 seconds slower than with 15 kilos lighter, like boom, madness from Kyle.
So after event 4, that pushed, well actually Joe I think stayed at the top. Dean pushed up, Tim into 3rd and Tommy into 4th, and then Matt dropped down the table into 7th place now.
It happens.
Event number 5. So event number 5 was a 300 kilo yoke for 10 metres, and then run back, and then you had to load 2 110 kilo sandbags. So the biggest thing you had to decide at the start of this event was whether to go for a lower yoke pickup and make the the loading easier,
Yep.
or to stick with a higher yoke pickup to get there on the yoke quickly, but then back yourself to be able to load the sandbag over the higher bar?
Yep.
Which one did you go for?
So I just kept it standard. So in training, I've had absolutely no problem with this. Like, absolutely no problem. Like, been quick on the yoke, been quick on the 2 sandbags, like at my normal yoke height.
Sandbag Dom.
I think the biggest factor on this day was the Husafeld and the farmers, especially for me, the farmers, like having like already done about 10 pickups with 250. My legs were gassed, so like the normal sort of approach that I took, where I could just come up to the bar, pop it over without having a reload, like that completely like scuppered me. I hit the bar, had to reload it, and then I could feel like running up with the 110, like the second 110 bag, like my legs would just had nothing in them. Tried the load, tried to reset, tried to load it again, but yeah, like I think that's testament to doing stuff in your training to make sure that you're as gassed as you would be on the day. So like I know in training I've done that relatively fresh. I think I've maybe done a sandbag carry.
So it's actually doing all those events back to back to back to back to back.
Yeah, I was very confident that I was just going to smash through it, but I didn't take into account, I think, how draining the Husafeld, and now thinking about it, how many pickups the farmers was on. But yeah, some of the guys fucking nailed it.
Say that, but also a lot of people didn't actually complete this event. This was one event that, you know, we saw a lot of people didn't get a bag over, or got just one bag over. People really just ran out of time.
Yeah,
so it was a lot lot harder.
Yeah, the guys that did do a lower pickup, like you could see they were doing a lower pickup. I think they probably thought a bit more about the load, but and B, a bit more about how tired the legs were going to be. I anticipated the yoke to feel harder because ours is like some welded thing put together by a farmer. It's about football field wide. But yeah, on those strength shot ones, like I picked it up, boom, was off. I think it was ahead of Dan before I injured.
So Matt actually just put the yoke down about 10 centimetres short of the line, and then had to re-pick it back up and then put it back down, and that cost you a little bit of time there.
So I basically hyperextended my knee. I've been having like a lot of patella tendonitis in my left knee. Probably a mix of like the grueling events before and then doing that yoke, but I don't know what happened, but something happened. I hyperextended my knee and like I could barely walk after that event. I think adrenaline got me through the sandbags, but then I was hobbling around, had to go and see the physio. Like between the event, I was even saying to you, I don't think I'm going to be able to do the power stairs. Like I couldn't bend my knee.
But you did.
But yeah, thanks to Josh, with some brilliant coaching. To be fair, he could see I was down in the dumps. He literally grabbed me by the shirt, gave me a slap, told me to. Gave me some choice words, should we say? Got the adrenaline going, and managed to get into the stairs.
So that was the last event. So the last event was power stairs. So I just said to Matt, like, what weights did you lift for this? He's like, I don't know, maybe 150, 160, 170. So actually, we don't actually know what the weights were, and I didn't have time to check.
I want to say 170 was the heaviest, I think.
So we think it was 150, 160, 170.
Yeah.
You went actually up head-to-head against Andrew Keys, which was really good to watch, because there was a little bit of rivalry together. They started together
and finished together
on the log, and then finished together as well.
Yeah,
and he just beat Matt.
Yeah, so I went in the warm-up, tried picking up the power stairs. It was not happening. Doing the duck walk, like it wasn't happening. But then, like I said, Josh came over, gave me a good slap and a talking to, some smelling salts, and we managed to actually get. I was amazed I could even move with it, to be honest. I started loading the first step.
Really, really well.
Yeah, it was moving pretty quick, I think. Adrenaline's a wonderful thing, but...
so I think you were really unlucky. So if you've watched this, really unlucky, because your second one you put on, he called you back to push it on a little bit further.
To be honest, like in the athletes meeting, they did say they were going to be very, very tight on making sure that the whole plate had like cleared the step, so there was no overhang at all. It's just a bit unfortunate for me because like the worst bit about that event was going down the steps because of my knee.
To go back up, push it on, and then go back down.
I ran down the stairs, got called back up, and then had to come back. And like I think you can see if you watch the videos I put up that event like tomorrow. I was not moving well without the weight. No, I wasn't moving well. Tried to get the third one on. Managed to get the first load, second load, the third load. I just fell short.
The whistle went.
No, I just fell short. Came off. I had to like ditch it, fell off, which again, like I hyperextended my knee on the bottom, like coming back down. ran back in to try and do the last rep, but yeah, just as I got hands on, the whistle went, and then had to be carried off.
Yeah, I should say as well, actually, at this stage, Dan withdrew, didn't he, due to injury?
Yeah,
so he
Flash,
didn't take part in the last one.
Yeah, Flash was out. My main target I'd seen Finley was just, I think he was half a point behind me, or ahead of me, but going into the steps.
He was half a point behind you.
Yeah, half a point behind me, and Josh had said, like, I won't say what he said, but yeah, he basically said, don't let Finley get ahead of you now. Don't work this hard to get to this point and let him get ahead of you now. So I mainly watched Finley do what he was doing, and he'd actually missed that last step as well. So I just knew I needed to be quick up to that last step. Thankfully, I think I'd just done enough to get the split time to beat him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and held on to what, 8th place? Yeah.
8th place.
Held on to 8th
so
place
that's
just about.
like, yeah, you did. So that's an improvement. So the last time you took part in this competition, you came
2 years ago, I believe, was 10th. Yep.
10th,
and then last year I didn't even qualify. And then, yeah, to come 8th this year was pretty happy. Like I said before, I hadn't really had much of a prep for this.
No. There's been other focuses.
Yeah, there's been other focuses. I've gone in, I think I put on my Instagram that, you know, going into this comp, it was like the first time in a long time I had no real, like, attachment to the result of it.
Yeah,
obviously I had some
goals.
Yeah, I had performances that I wanted to hit. But I think on a better day, with a much longer prep, I could have maybe squeezed out a couple more positions, but overall, pretty happy with the day. As a weekend as a whole and a competition, it was
amazing. We should say who won.
Next level,
so,
yeah.
So Dean actually won, and he was followed by the twins.
Dean McVie, yeah. So he went top 3 last year at OSG. Now he's Britain's strongest man. And then
was it Joe and then Tim in that order?
I don't know. I tried to speak to one of the twins at one point, and I just went Tim Joe. Like I cannot tell the difference. I know someone said that they got different socks on, but
yeah, me.
Trying to remember which one has actually got what socks on, I will never know. So, but yeah, congrats to the twins. They've been on the podium, or I think at least one of them has been on the podium.
Tim had white socks on. Joe had red socks on.
There you go. But yeah, the twins have been on the podium every year since they've started up the Britain's Strongest Man. It's been pretty special, hasn't
it? And a massive effort to Kyle. He came 4th.
Yeah, I think performance of the day, was Kyle.
Yeah.
For us to be within half a point in Ireland, and then to be quite frankly, he blew me out the water that day. For me, was the most impressive to see him beating guys like Tommy Chivers and like Conor Cowans and hanging up there with the twins and like even Dean as well. Like, I think it's mad, and he's only 22, so he's going to go a long, long way. To be fair to him, but yeah, I'm chatting to Kyle actually very soon, so we'll chat more about Kyle another day.
That's it, really. That's our little review.
Yeah.
Anything you want to add?
That was it. Just a big thank you to Rhiannon,
Kaos,
Luke, all the guys from Kaos, like all the crew from Kaos.
Nicola on the MC, she's pretty good.
Yeah, there was a lot of names. Guys come over from the States. I know, like Tommy Lavelle come over and sponsored the log and things like that. For me personally, it was a massive thing to meet a lot of these guys that you see on Instagram a lot of the time. Like Tommy Lavelle was 2 times under 80 world champ, so it's like, I don't think there's any under 80s.
No, it was pretty special.
I don't think there's any under 80 athlete in England that doesn't kind of like look and be like, wow, you know, and then like seeing like meeting like John Hack, like greatest powerlifter of all time, like arguably like best pound for pound lifter and powerlifter, to see that I was actually the same height as him. And also, yeah, massive highlight for me for the weekend was CJ Kraus on the commentary calling me very tall. I personally have never been called very tall in my life, so CJ, love you, mate.
And Danny, we were really impressed as well with how you did.
Yeah, Danny Curtis did really well.
Really
I know
good.
I spoke to him before, he was real nervous about doing it all, but he did a really good, really like good professional job on the commentary. So
it was amazing.
It all adds to the weekend, makes it look better for us athletes as well. Like when we can put up, there's videos with like a commentary and everything like that. It just looks better, doesn't it?
So just quickly, what's next?
Next up, I believe, is the Arnold's qualifier, isn't it? Arnold's Ohio qualifier.
Yeah, the Arnold's qualifier.
But main focus
September.
in like my eyes, really. I think I'd forgotten about that until you mentioned it a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Main one for me now is Natty Worlds, so it's the UKNS Worlds Final in Edinburgh on the 22nd and 23rd
of September.
Got a date right?
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, that's the main focus. We've just started prep for that this week. The knee actually is feeling a lot better. It's still a bit painful, but knee and elbows, tendonitis, getting old. But no, that's the big focus. I think if I can do well in that, I'll be very happy, and it can move me into my next next
phase
next
of
year.
what you're going to do, next planning block after during the off-season.
Moves us into next year.
Awesome.
Nicely. So yeah.
Thank you, Matthew. Well done.
Thank you,
I'm so
Hannah.
proud of
Cheers
you.
for coming. And just can you just for the camera, can you just show everyone what a super fan you are? Niece. Got the t-shirt. All right, guys. Thanks again. Catch you next time.